The Kenyan market, we have grown up with so much access to the US and the UK markets that we are kind of deluded into thinking we live in the same market. So every guy who goes to campus, especially guys who study anything related to IT, computer science, you are deluded, you are convinced that you can actually build a unicorn, which is worth $1 billion.
A Facebook, an Instagram, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, where our economy is and where our market is, our problems are smaller. Mm-hmm. Even, you can identify the right problem, but you can build the wrong solution for it.
Yeah.
And you end up failing, not because you did not have the right problem, not because your solution was wrong, but because it was just too big for our market.
Yeah.
So we need that balance where we approach the problems that we are facing in our society and in our economy
currently,
from the level we are at.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, not everything needs an app.
Because I think also if I was to add or ask something, it's like, how many people do people even get funding in Kenya?
Small, less than 1%.
And that's crazy, because if you say 1%, how many other people are out here studying, and that's the same thing that maybe they're chasing and hoping for funding to bring this idea into life. And of course, maybe they don't even have access to, because if we talk about overseas, you're going to compete with, Chinese kids who start like tech when they are old, 5 years old, coding 6 years old. So, I mean, what are they supposed to do? Because as much as, yes, we're saying that, but people still keep going to school to study about all these different things that the market might not even reward them how they're expecting to be rewarded.
Look, I think it's not wrong to build such solutions, but getting into that space with the mentality that the only way you're going to grow is through funding, that is where you're going to go wrong. I have gotten to the space where I actually understand that customer revenue is actually the best way to build your business.
Very true.
So, guys, if you're in campus and you're aspiring to build a company, go ahead and do it. But just lose that mentality that you need startup capital. You need
$1 million.
Yeah, you don't need that. If your idea is actually legitimate, your solution is actually legitimate, and people are going to pay for it, then you can actually build using the revenue that you derive from that.
Yeah. So now, since you found yourself in accounting, like in companies and stuff, did that influence you in any way, and how you're thinking about like taking your next step as an entrepreneur? Whether it's, I don't know whether in accounting, was it receiving checks, balancing books? What else is there in accounting? I'm just trying to think of all the things that people would do in companies.
Okay, it was maybe a little bit simpler than that. It was actually a school. So I would manage the fees that come in, paying the bills and whatnot. So I actually liked the security that came with that. I was...
Guarantee paycheck.
Yes, I was in my early 20s. And I had a good paycheck at the end of the month. I had people respected me.
You can plan for things.
Yeah. Teachers actually respected me very much. I'm the one who's handling their salaries.
Oh, by the way. Yeah.
Going into the bank, meeting the manager, for them. It was a good feeling. What I did not like was the fact that I didn't have my time. Even as an accountant, I had to get in at 7 a.m. And sometimes I would find myself leaving at 6 p.m. And now I also mentioned I'm a musician.
So that, of course.
Sometimes it would feel terrible. My band says we need to meet. I can't meet. So that was one of the aspects. Maybe a little bit a naive reason to want to get into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, a legitimate reason.
Yeah. No. I think time is everything. And I mean, I've always even said it like on my podcast, like I used to be the person who was working all the time. And that's why like from my Instagram, like I never delete posts that of the things that I used to do. I don't want anything to be used against me like later on.
You're better than me.
No. I'm like,
I deleted everything.
That's what people do. That's what a lot of people do. But I think even for me, it's just because like once I got into a certain position, I was like, you know what? I really tried to think. I was like, is there anything that could destroy me that I've put like in? I was like, no. Where I am right now, I'm just in a position where I'm okay, I'm comfortable, and not everyone can get to say that, by the way.
Sure.
Especially if you're doing things that are super, super formal, contracts, partnerships with companies. You really can't say you don't care about me. You have to clean that like social media. It has to be. Not today you're taking shots. Kesho sijui in Mount Kenya doing what, and then you're still supposed to post some company representatives shaking hands. It can't be. So it's kind of tricky, but at least I think just for my case, time is the one thing that I realized later on is like, now I have so much time to do a lot of things that I'm passionate about. I can allocate time to invest on something. It might be even small. That's the craziest part about like entrepreneurship. I can wake up and say like, let me go and do something. I think this can make me like 5K. It's 5K you didn't have. When you're in an office or you're doing your 8 to 5, just getting that 30 minutes or 1 hour to do something that's super small, it's almost impossible.
But guys, remember, we don't want to, throw stones for those of you who are in the corporate world.
Oh, no, we are not.
It's not wrong at all.
We are not.
I mean, entrepreneurship is not better. In fact, it's worse.
Before you get to where you might actually be homeless.
You're working 24/7 most of the time.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing that I realize right now is that I perhaps maybe also got into it because of identity. I was struggling a lot with identity, as many people do. And I was asking myself, when I get to 40, how do I want people to define me? How do I want to define myself?
Yeah.
And I realized I don't want to define myself based on a job. And I think entrepreneurship gives you that freedom and that flexibility to sort of jump from A to B and C to D, and you're not going to be to have a tunnel definition of yourself.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is what I also like about entrepreneurship.
True. For me, I'd just say time. I won't even lie. Time, and of course, once you establish yourself, like, I think, and I think I also understand why, like, even at the highest level, people like Warren Buffett, you still see them like putting on their suits, waking up in the morning and going to do something, either a meeting, a speech, talk to other people. Time is so valuable. I don't think, because the craziest part, like I did 8 to 5 for probably more than 7 years. Yeah.
How was it?
Horrible.
Why
Nightmare. No, there was money, but like now when I'm talking about time, I didn't have time to go and see family. I was making money, but I don't even understand how I wasn't progressing in any way. Because how like your check is coming. So it kind of like you always even spend with the advance payment before the check comes. So you're always in this cycle. You just have enough to go back to work.
There's this concept I've come across recently, revenge procrastination. I think a lot of people who are in employment struggle with that. Where you get home, you take a shower, prepare a meal. Before you're done, it's already 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And you end up staying awake just so that you can reclaim the little
try
time
and
you
just
have
try to
yourself. So I really did not want to be that way.
Yeah.
Right now in entrepreneurship, I might find that I have a lot of things to do, but I can decide, I'll take care of that tomorrow. And no one is going to do anything.
No, that's true. And I think that's why when you're talking about something as simple as just like, you mentioned, what did you just mention?
The revenge.
Yeah, the revenge procrastination, right? And that's why I was trying to say, like, and that's why you see, like, on weekends or Friday, people always excited about, like, hey, it's Friday. Because once they open those doors from the offices on Friday, they're like, yo, to the pubs, if it's to meet this friend, if it's to do what, but you'll always realize, like, with entrepreneurs, they're never excited much about it. Because public holiday is a public holiday. To you guys, it's just another normal day. A normal weekends, it's just a normal day. It doesn't mean anything to me, but I think that's so special. And of course, like we said, we're not influencing people to leave office jobs. But I think if you have a taste of that for more than a year, it will be really hard for somebody to convince you to go back to an office.
I think most Kenyans actually have some sort of understanding about business. Because I think in one of your podcasts, you mentioned about how everyone has a side hustle.
Yeah.
But now, I'd be remiss if I don't mention that there's actually a difference between entrepreneurship and having a side hustle. Having a side hustle is not entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having, entrepreneurship is about intentionally wanting to solve a certain problem that you have analyzed and you think would actually give you some good returns, not in just in the short term, but also in the long term.
Yeah.
So you going and getting some pairs of shoes that you can post on your status to sell may not exactly be categorized as entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's not entrepreneurship. Very true. Very true. That's a random post that you're just trying to make extra money. Entrepreneurship, you need a little bit more structure.
But also on the other side of the coin, I think if you've done that before, if you've explored that type of business side before, it would be very easy for you to advance and now get into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
If you describe yourself as an entrepreneur and you've never really done any of that, then I might have a few questions.
Yeah, like, is it really...
Bro, are you really sure you're an entrepreneur? Because there are steps to it. Even, sometimes you don't even know what you don't know, but you sort of graduate through the steps and realize that, I need to approach it like this.
Also, if I was to ask, like, when you just decided to, like, take the entrepreneurship journey, were there times, like, you started having, like, second thoughts on, like, hey, am I being serious with life? Am I really taking the right step?
All the time, even now.
Am I really doing the right thing? Yeah, entrepreneurship can... And that's why when you say it's like almost like a 24-hour job,
even right
your
now,
mind is...
My mom will ask me, what did you say you do again? There's a day she asked me, why don't you just look for a job like a normal person?
Please, like a normal person.
Yeah, and...
Because even Hash is frustrated now on your behalf.
On my behalf, yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes times are good, sometimes when they are bad, they are bad.
Very bad. They're very bad. But I also would want to ask, because you've also like talked about like also like just finances at times like on your TikTok in maybe 1-2 videos that I also noticed. But just how important is it like just as an entrepreneur to, of course, definitely plan finance? Because like we've said, I've had people on the podcast who said like and I was even concerned by because they said, I didn't feel, she said she was stressed and she wasn't happy with her job, so she quit. And then I asked her, you realize when you're telling me you had already moved out. So I asked her like, so what was the plan on how you're going to pay rent? And she said, I don't know. I was like, and I explained to her, I have never quit any job. I've always been fired. I've never quit any job. Because I was always like, quit and then how do I pay rent? But I always knew like in corporate, if you get fired, you get 3 months pay. That's in a good, let's say just corporate job where you've signed, you've done like your paperwork and everything. They have to give you like 2 months, 2 months pay, and the extra one was, I can't remember what the name was, but it was almost roughly like 3 months. So even if you're tired with your job, I'll give you like a tip. Don't quit. Just don't show up for a week. The next week, come in 2 or 3 days. No, they have to give you like a warning letter first of all. Because you're not just told go home. Go home, it's where you don't have paperwork. But if you have paperwork, it's like, hey, Kwani, what's up? What's wrong? And then just don't show up the next week again. So now if they need to fire you, they'll call you to HR and then it's like, okay, I'm so sorry, we have to dismiss you.
But guys, those are proper companies. Don't do that.
Oh, no. And that's what I'm saying. Like, these are proper companies. But even if you like have an exit strategy, I'm just saying if you have an exit strategy, you can do that. But I'm not advising people to do that. It's just like, okay, that's just the story of my life. I've never quit any job by the way. I always used to get 3 months pay. And then after that, I figure something else out. But that was a rough life. I don't think I would recommend it for anyone.